like to welcome everyone back to So-Called Experts. We're on episode 36. I just want to thank everyone who's been supporting me. You know, I truly appreciate it. Back here with my boy Lou Gehrig. And as you can see by the title, we're talking about the NBA playoffs. We're going to specifically talk about it's the Elite Eight. You know, there's only 8 teams left. You got 2 matchups in the West, 2 matchups in the East. So let me start off. Let me save the LA teams for last because I know we're all SoCal people. That's who we want to get into. But I'm going to start off with my upset pick. I'm going to go with the 76ers over the Celtics. Now, right now the series is 1-1, but both games were in Boston, and the first one that the Celtics won was only by 1 point. I know we've been saying it for the last 3 years. The Celtics are getting old, but I think it's finally starting to catch up with them. When you got a young athletic team like the 76ers, when you got, Turner, and you got Andre Iguodala, the new AI, and you got, Holiday out there all running, the young, quick, very athletic point guards, they can all hang with Rondo, who makes the Celtics run. So when they can slow him down or stay in front of him, they know they're going to stay in front of Pierce and Allen and KG. So all those guys are starting to, I think, wear the Celtics out. As we seen in Game 2, Paul Pierce had, I think, 7 points? So it's already starting to show. Ray Allen's going to get his open threes. But, those guys are starting to wear the Celtics, and I think we'll win it in, I say, 6. Then we go on the other team in the East. You got the Heat versus the Pacers. Now, first of all, let me say this. The Pacers have a guy in the name with 2 first names. So whenever you have a guy on your team with 2 first names, that doesn't bode well for you. They got a guy named Paul George. Now, can you call him Mr. Paul? Can you call him Mr. George? I don't know. But the Heat, even without Chris Bosh, I think are going to roll through the Pacers. I know the Pacers put up a pretty good fight. I mean, they're looking pretty athletic. They are very athletic. They got, Paul George. They got Hill. They got Granger. They got Hansbrough. They have some good players. But LeBron James has ran through teams like this his whole career. When he was in the Cavaliers, he was playing teams like this, who were very young and athletic, but didn't have a superstar. And he was, his superstarness, I think, would take over games. And now you give him D. Wade, who he didn't have when he was back in Cleveland. He didn't have anyone in Cleveland, and he went through teams like this. And he was always getting out of the East, going to the Eastern Conference Finals, or going to the finals. It took teams like Boston when they were younger 3 years ago to beat him. So I think without Bosh, they're still going to roll through this series. Shaq came on TV last night and said when he was injured with the oblique, it took him 4 to 6 weeks to recover. But we all know Shaq wasn't the most hardest working athlete out there. He was, if he got injured, he almost considered it like a vacation. This is a paid vacation. Chris Bosh, by all accounts, is a very hard worker, very dedicated. He's desperate for a ring. I think he will make his return by the next series. I think he's going to miss the series, but be back next series. So going into that, I think the Heat, even with or without Bosh, let's say they get Bosh for the last couple of games of that series, will beat the 76ers. Because I think, as a Heat fan, you should be going for the 76ers because they're almost like the Pacers. Young, athletic, no superstars. I think that the moment might get too big for them, being in the Eastern Conference Finals, whereas I think the Heat can push their way around and get to the finals. Even if they play the Celtics, so the Celtics get there, they've shown they can beat the Celtics. And but that's where Chris Bosh will play a factor because they're going to need his size to compete with the Celtics. The Celtics like to slow it up, play half-court offense and defense. When you run half-court, you need size. You need someone to guard the middle. You need your rebounds. You need to stop them from getting second-chance points, which Chris Bosh will do. So as Heat fans, you should hope for the 76ers, which I predict are going to win. But if not, I still think you guys can beat the Celtics, but that would be a harder matchup. So my prediction is the Heat get to the finals. Now let me go into the West. I'll start with the baby brother in LA. I'll start with the Clippers. Right now everyone's picking the Spurs to win in 4 or 5. The Spurs were, statistically speaking, the best team in the NBA this year. Had the most wins, had the best record. But I see the Clippers being able to match up very well with the Spurs. They have the size. They have a lot of these top, they have DeAndre Jordan. They got Kenyon Martin. They got Evans, and they got Blake Griffin. They can match up with Tim Duncan and Blair and these other guys that they got on the Spurs. And then they also have the guards. When you got Butler and Chris Paul, and you got Nick Young, and you got Mo Williams, and the Spurs obviously have Tony Parker, who's very good. I think the key factor in this series is going to be the new addition, which no one's talking about, is Steven Jackson. Everyone knows the big three in San Antonio, but when Steven Jackson has always been an all-star caliber player on crappy teams, Now you bring him into San Antonio, and he's the fourth option. You know, now he can do what he wants to do under the radar and get open shots. So if he has a good series, Spurs win. Well, even regardless, I think the Spurs win, but I think the Clippers are going to push them and make this a tougher series, and a lot of people are saying, I say Spurs in 6. Now let's get to the Lakers. Laker fans, I mean, I want to say just, you know, get ready for next year. But, you know, obviously with when you have a guy like Kobe on your team, you can never be ruled out. You know, Kobe is the hardest worker player. I would say even probably the arguably the best player in basketball still. So you got to give him the chance. The only good thing I say for you guys is when you lose the game, it doesn't matter if it's by 1 or 29 like it was yesterday. It's a loss. So coming into game 2, you're still only down 1-0. You know, so if you guys win game 2, guess what? It's a brand new series because now it's 1-1 and you guys stole the game in Oklahoma City. So the Laker fans, game 2 is crucial because I know a lot of people were saying game 1, you guys just came out of a game 7 series against Denver who pushed you to the edge. You know, Oklahoma's been fresh. They've been sitting there. So game 1 was the game that everyone thought, all right, the Lakers are not going to be able to hang. They gave everything they had in game 7. What do they have left? So with that being said, it doesn't get any easier from here. Game 2 is the game you gotta win. Because guess what? Game 3 and Game 4 are on back-to-back days. There are only a couple of back-to-back games in the playoffs this year. And because of the shortened season, the NBA is trying to get to the finals on time. So guess what? You guys got a bad draw. You know, you guys got to play Friday, Game 3, Saturday, Game 4. So as you guys, you know, already know, you're the older team, Oklahoma City. You know, I'm pretty sure those guys, Durant and Westbrook, play on their off days anyway, so this is not going to be a big deal to them. So you guys need game 2 bad, you know, because if you guys lose game 2, you guys might win game 3, you know, but then can you guys really come back the next night and win game 4? Big iffy right there. Then, you know, if you guys hoped that Oklahoma City was still young and immature and didn't seize the moment, maybe they take their foot off the gas pedal and you guys can sneak some wins in or you know, catch them slipping. When they got a guy like Derek Fisher on their team, Laker fans, you guys should know, he's not going to let them sleep. He's going to be on them. You know, if they ever go up by 20 again, he's going to be like, don't stop. Let's go up by 30. You know, if they're up 3-0 in the series, he's not going to say, take a game off. He's going to say, let's sweep them. And then Ron Artest, or Metta World Peace, my bad, ain't making it any easier. You know, when he comes out and says, I don't shake the hands of backups, you know, of a guy that comes off the bench. Really? James Harden might come off the bench, but he's a starter. I mean, he plays more minutes than Artest. He scores more points. He gets more rebounds. He gets more assists. And then I'll admit, World Peace is a better defensive player, but he only averages 0.2 more steals and like 0.1 more blocks per game. But he is a better defender. But Harden, in any way, is probably the better player than Artest. So I don't understand why he's opening his mouth. Because the one edge you guys had in the Thunder was your mental toughness. When Metta World Peace almost took Harden's head off with that elbow and no one came to his defense, you know, they ran to Harden, but no one ran to Artest. Because as soon as Artest put his fist up, everyone backed off. The Lakers could have been like, we're the tougher team. But now you're giving them motivation. You're giving the Thunder fire. And now they're going to be like, hey, you know, maybe they are tougher. Well, then let's beat their ass on the court. You know, and so, I mean, sorry Laker fans, but I say Thunder in 5. I think you guys win one in LA. Probably game 3, I would say. And then after that, the Thunder just roll. And then I think the Thunder versus the Spurs, I think the Thunder, it's their year. I think they take out the Spurs, regardless of the fact that the Spurs have the best record and are the favorite to win it all. I think the Thunder, they just have the perfect mixture of everything on their team to make a run. You got the superstar in Durant. You got the great point guard in Westbrook. You got the 6th man of the year in Harden. You got the defenders in Ibaka. And then you got the tough man in Sam Perkins. You know, you have everything to go to a championship run. So now I say Thunder, Heat in the championship. Now here is where Chris Bosh comes into effect. Like I just said, it's a Thunder's year. Well, just as much as it is a Thunder year, it's the Heat year. But both teams have their big 3. So if Bosh is out, I say the Thunder win in 6. If Bosh plays, and not just plays, but if he comes back in the Celtics series or in the Eastern Conference Finals and gets his feet under him and is able to be close to 100% in the finals, then I say the Heat in 6. So I think it's my determination on who wins the finals is solely based on Chris Bosh. If he's there, like I said, he's there, Heat in 6. If he's not, Thunder in 6. Those are my predictions. Let me know what you guys think. So keep supporting your troops. Support my collaboration, which is www.vhvtv.org. You know, for all you benefits, if any of you guys know any veterans out there, there's a lot of great benefits on that website. Let them know about it. For So-Called Experts, I'm out.